no fewer than 4,000 people, that her territory space is limited, and that if she takes in that many vassals at once, she simply will not be able to fit them. I nod, agreeing that it is a real issue, though not a large one. I tell her I will bring a small team of rock spirits over first to open up enough space to house them all, and that later she can remodel it into a mechanical processing plant however she needs. She nods lightly and thanks me. Then her pupils drift out of focus again, sliding back to that even gray-white, and she walks to the shelter door and cracks it open. The next second, a shaft of silver light bursts out, followed by a heavy roar, and Skypillar has swelled back to its full 40+ meters. She tells me to have a safe trip, and I tell her, with a smile, that I will be back very soon. Then I open the door, and braving the cold wind and the dark, I walk towards Skypillar while giant ants pour out of the teleportation array, one after another behind me. I spread my light wings and slip cleanly into Skypillar's cockpit, run through a few operations, and cannot help smiling at how sharp my condition feels. After Moel broke through to Platinum and brewed her 4 black Scythe Hunter ants, my Heart of the Lord effect took hold as well, handing me a solid measure of strength, constitution, and agility, and even a slight lift to my mental attribute. Now, piloting Skypillar into battle, even if I go all out the way I did against the demonized Minotaur, I feel no strain at all, perfectly at ease. I open the map, and the regional layout I scouted earlier springs onto the light screen. Without rushing to deploy, I look out at the swaying tree shadows in the night and give my orders. I tell Swift Shadow to send a small team ahead to clear the road, keep 1,000 meters off the main force, and move out. I tell Moel to split the 4 platinum-grade Black Scythe Hunter ants into 4 columns striking 4 fronts at once. They both answer that they hear me. In an instant, countless sentry ants spill forth, and behind them the 4 platinum-grade Black Scythe Hunter ants lead an ocean of gold rank ants, sweeping ahead like a black tide fit to devour the world. With my strength this much greater, I have none of yesterday's hesitation, and today I am in a hurry. I pick a direction on the map thick with high energy points, drive Skypillar forward, and cross thousands of meters in a blink. Better to settle this today, I tell myself, so that after midnight I can go help Will and the others. Let us make quick work of it. At this moment, only 2 days, 1 hour, and 50 minutes remain until the eternal night ends. 09's area may hold no crushing lord on the level of me or Heo Singyol, but among the lesser figures there are 6 lords who have each gathered a heavy host of vassals and refused to bow to one another, locked in a 6-way standoff. Well-meaning folk across the area have taken to calling these 6 the 6 great heavenly kings, and now, at the seam between the last 2 days, a fresh round of conquest has begun. In the north sits the largest faction of all, its lord, a man named Sok Hongjun, who wields exquisite earth element magic and goes by the Rockhammer Heavenly King. His mastery of earth magic let him expand his shelter far past the others, so he can house more vassals than anyone 1,800 of them, a count that sets him at the very head of the 6 great heavenly kings. Right now, Sok Hongjun sits atop a 10-meter earth elemental golem, clad in lowest-colored rock armor, a 2-handed hammer in his grip, his face stern as he watches the fighting ahead. By rights, his strength could crush any single one of the 6 lords with ease. The trouble is that the 2 heavenly king lords whose lands border his understood the old truth that when the lips are gone, the teeth feel the cold. So to hold him off, they struck a mutual aid pact, each swearing to throw everything into the other's defense the moment either was attacked. Sok Hongjun is powerful enough to beat their combined forces, but it would be a ruinous victory that gutted his own strength, and the region's remaining heavenly kings would only swoop in to feast on the wreckage, which is the last thing he wants. The opposing lord flings a threat across the field, demanding whether the Rockhammer Heavenly King truly wants a mutually destructive fight, when he knows full well the strength of 2 heavenly kings standing together. Sok Hongjun snorts coldly. He draws a deep breath and speaks all at once, his voice ringing like a struck bell across the whole battlefield. He declares that since he, Sok Hongjun, dared to come at all, he would never do anything so foolish as let the snipe and the clam grapple while the fisherman walks off with both. He tells them he already holds overwhelming power, and asks why they do not simply surrender. Then he surges up off the golem, swings his arms, and slams his 2 great iron hammers together, and a lowest-colored halo flares as a sound like muffled thunder rolls out. One after another, 100 lowest-colored magic arrays open across the ground, and from each rises an 8-meter golem of packed lowest, tramping toward the battlefield. The 2 opposing lords freeze the instant the golems appear, their faces going grayer than the lowest itself. They look at each other, then stammer out, half sobbing, that these are 100 gold rank earth elemental golems, that they surrender, that they are willing to pledge their allegiance. Sok Hongjun had expected nothing less, and he sweeps a cold, arrogant glance over them as a swell of heroic ambition rises in his chest. He scoffs that they are mere chickens and dogs, that with 2 of the 6 great heavenly kings now folded in beside himself, he commands 60 to 70% of the region's whole power, and demands to know who can possibly stop him. He proclaims that the area chief can only be him, that he alone could dominate the entire region before the eternal night even ends, that there was never any such thing as 6 great heavenly kings, only one true heavenly king, and that is Sok Hongjun. No, he decides aloud. Heavenly King is too small. He shall be called Heavenly Emperor, destined to crush all enemies, with this whole dark world bowing as the domain of the Rockhammer Heavenly Emperor. He stands with his hands clasped behind his back, heart heaving, eyes bright as he watches the two lords be absorbed into his ranks. Everything is unfolding exactly to plan. Then, in the distance, he catches a flash of fire streaking straight for his position. A flash of fire? He pauses, and in that heartbeat of confusion, the fire is already upon him, and he finally sees its true shape. He goes rigid, his hands trembling so hard that his two heavy hammers slip loose and clatter down onto the head of the golem beneath his feet. That was no flash of fire at all. It is a mech giant over 40 meters tall, and the fire is only the glow of the propulsion engine mounted on its back. That mech giant is Jang Hyun, piloting Sky Pillar, this being the very direction he chose. Jang Hyun looks down at the thousands of survivors, small as ants from that height, and at the 100 gold rank earth elemental golems that barely clear Sky Pillar's calves. He tells the man below, with genuine approval, that he must be their lord, that it is not bad at all to command so many gold rank summoned creatures, and that he can surrender, or they can fight. Seo Kongjun cranks his head stiffly up a full 180 degrees, stares at Sky Pillar in raw shock, and forces out, bitterly, that he surrenders. And so the Rockhammer Heavenly King, no, the Rockhammer Heavenly Emperor, falls quietly before his march of conquest has even begun. Back inside 09's shelter, I stretch and remark, dryly, that not one of them could put up a real fight, and the whole thing took an hour and a half, most of it just travel time. And these people call themselves the 6 great Heavenly Kings. It is like watching kids play house, honestly embarrassing, and I wonder aloud how old they are to still be acting out some middle school power fantasy. Not long after I fold Sokham Jun in, the ant columns I sent out sweep through and conscript every remaining survivor, the rest of the so-called 6 great Heavenly Kings included. 09 nods and allows that it is a bit childish, then says it reminds her of the title I went by in the area, something along the lines of Gale Shu. I cut her off before she can finish, insisting flatly that no such thing ever existed. She catches my embarrassed look, lowers her head, and the corner of her mouth curves up just slightly before she smooths her expression back to calm, and looks up again. She tells me this hall is considerable, and her shelter has too little space to hold all of it, and that since I did all the work, I should take everything but the metal resources, the unclaimed manuals included. 09 has always lived out of my shelter, and whenever she needs anything, I hand it over without a second thought. So as close teammates, the two of us have never bothered drawing hard lines between what is whose. I think it over for a moment, then agree, telling her we will stow it in the warehouse area for now, and she can pull whatever resources she needs straight from there. Checking the time, I rise from my seat. I tell her I will send Tak Moon-yeol and a team over to help tally the vassal information, and that there is still time on the clock, no sense wasting it, so I will head straight to Baekhyun's area. The next second I summon a teleportation array, and just as I am about to step through, 09 speaks up, telling me to wait, that she is coming too. She points out that her area is safe now with no enemies left, and that she cannot help with the tallying anyway. Just now, clearing her area, I subdued a total of 4,125 vassals for her, which drove her glory level straight up to level 4, granting her 3 hours of black mist immunity a day, enough to move around freely in the mist. I nod and tell her that works fine too. Then I bring Tak Moon-yeol's team through to manage the vassals, and I step into the array with a body of ants and the resources, my figure fading out. Baekhyun has already been pinging me, asking whether we are not supposed to clear 09's area tonight. I tell him 09's side is already done, that by the order we agreed on it is his turn next, and that I will bring 09 along. He is delighted, half in disbelief that it finished so fast, and repeats that he is ready and to come over quickly. Soon a teleportation array opens in his territory, and 09 and I materialize to find him already waiting in the shelter hall. Skipping the pleasantries, I tell him straight that we have 20 minutes left on today's clock and I am starting right now. He says that suits him, that he holds a glory level and can operate outside too, and offers to sweep the nearby areas himself, so we might finish faster, and bank some time. I agree, telling him 09 and I will take the distant enemies while he clears the close ones, and to begin the operation. Baekhyun nods, throws the door open, and calls down to his combat squad, roaring at his brothers to charge, that the area is being unified today. They shout back that they hear him, and well-equipped warriors come pouring up from downstairs, plunging fearlessly into the darkness beyond the door. Clearly Baekhyun is popular around here. I glance at the warriors vanishing into the night, summon my body of ants from the array, and send them sweeping expertly towards his area, then climb aboard Sky Pillar with 09 and rush into the dark ourselves. I tell her simply that we are moving. Baekhyun was already the strongest lord in this area. He had just never bothered to expand before, and compared to 09's territory, the quality of the lords here is even more pitiful. With enough black mist immunity, he could probably have conquered the whole area on his own, never mind my ant swarm and 09's Sky Pillar backing him. The three of us launch together and sweep across the entire territory like a gale, and it takes only an hour to uproot every force in the area and change out their banners. Carrying a heavy load of vassals and sacks of resources, we returned to Baekhyun's territory, and even counting travel it ran just an hour and 15 minutes. It is already 5 to 1 in the morning. With no more pressure to refresh my black mist immunity, the urgency drains out of me, and I sink onto the sofa in Baekhyun's shelter to rest a while. What truly wore me out was never these weak lords who topple at a touch, but the bodily and mental fatigue of hauling myself around at maximum load, and I am flatly spent. Baekhyun finishes handing off the vassal intake and tallying to his people, wipes the sweat from his brow, jogs over and starts diligently kneading my shoulders. He tells me it is all thanks to me and 09, and that on his own there is no telling when he would have subdued the whole area. I wave a hand back at him and tell him to knock it off, that with his strength even a little later would not have been much later, and that we only pulled the timing forward a touch. He grins that time is money and pulls out a ring, holding it out to me. When I look at it, puzzled, he explains that this is his reward for the trip, that even close brothers should keep clean accounts, and that this second one here is for 09, handing her another ring as he says it. 09 shakes her head and says flatly to give it all to me, that she does not want it. Baekhyun blinks, stunned, looks from her to me and back several times, then puts on a knowing little smile and laughs that he understands, pressing both rings into my hands. He tells me the ring itself is a storage ring holding 20 square meters of space, with all the resources sealed inside. A storage ring with 20 square meters of space no less, far roomier than the beast hide waist pouch Will handed me before. My attention drops so fully onto the ring that I miss the strange look on Baekhyun's face, and I tell him, grinning, that he is a rascal for sitting on something this good, and not producing it sooner. He hedges, insisting he only just exchanged it through his family's channels. I let him off this time, warning him to speak up earlier the next time he has good stuff, then push up off the sofa. I tell them today's Black Mist immunity still has over 5 hours left on it, more than enough to clear Will's and Cheongha's areas too, with room to spare. It is 1 in the morning, I point out. The nightlife has only just begun, and we may as well finish the whole thing in one go before sleep. Baekhyun nods that it is a good idea, then offers a suggestion, telling me his glory level has also hit level 4 for 3 hours of immunity a day, that he has used some but 2 hours still remain, and that 09 should be the same. He proposes I split my forces in 2, so that he and 09 can join the fighting, and we hit both fronts at once, aiming to settle both battlefields inside those 2 hours. I turn it over, then agree, telling him to contact Will and Cheongha, that we will make quick work of it, and that during the day they can all run the area core dungeon again to become chiefs, so we can watch each other's backs. With 4 platinum-grade Black Scythe Hunter ants spearheading, my ants take almost no losses, so weathering one more battle is out of the question is a worry. I act on it at once, pulling out my manual and contacting Will and Cheongha on the spot. By the plan we finalized, I clear 09 first, then Baekhyun, then Will, and finally Cheongha, whose defenses are the sturdiest of the lot. Both of them are startled we are moving this fast, but they quickly recall the platinum rank ants I just picked up and put it together. Cheongha sighs to herself that the strength of platinum rank creatures is clearly no small thing, since with only 4 platinum ants I have sped everything up this much, and she cannot help wondering what more of them would do. Her longing for platinum combat power burns a little brighter. Little Green will advance to platinum too, she reminds herself, probably by tomorrow. Soon I arrive at Cheongha's shelter, with 2 platinum ants and 2/3 of my ant army, having left the other 2 platinum ants and the remaining third under Mowal, who leads them alongside 09 and Baekhyun to clear Will's area. After reaching platinum, Mowal's intelligence climbed sharply, and now, apart from a way of thinking that still tilts toward the ant race, her pure intellect is no less than a human's. So with her heading that column I am entirely at ease. In the dark night stands a giant tree freckled with green light, so tall it seems to pierce the sky. 1 or 2 wooden structures nestled along its main trunk. Cheongha, in a green down jacket and blue jeans, stands out on the trunk before a wooden building, manual in hand, gazing ahead eagerly. A teleportation array opens out of thin air in front of her, and I step through with my ant army spilling out behind me. Seeing her face flushed red from the cold as she waits, I smile and ask whether she has been standing out here long. She rubs her hands together and shakes her head, saying she only just came out. I nod and tell her to come sit inside a while, that this place can be left to the little guys. Then I look to Swift Shadow at my side and tell her that since Mole is not coming, she is leading this time, and every ant, including the 2 platinum-grade Black Scythe Hunter ants, answers to her. I tell her to go by the intelligence we gathered earlier and bring back all the people and resources in the area. Most of all, I tell her, she must protect herself, and there can be absolutely no accidents. She answers that she hears me and guarantees the mission done, then straightens her body, holds her head high, and thrusts her uppermost foreleg upward, like a battle-hardened soldier snapping a salute before she leads the swarm off into the distant night. Watching me hand command wholesale to an ant leaves Cheongha a little surprised and worried, and she asks whether we could not go along after all. I tell her not to fret, that the map intelligence for her area was scouted by Swift Shadow's own team, in the first place. Unless someone here suddenly spikes in strength through a genetic mutation, I add, the ant army already has the power to sweep the whole area, so whether we go or not changes little. The truth is that back when I drove Skypillar into a fight, both my travel speed and the sheer dread of the thing could help end battles early. But Skypillar has gone with 09 to Will's side now. Even though my own strength has grown a great deal, and I carry plenty of ways to save my own skin, my joining a battle barely moves the situation. If anything, it might light false hope in some cornered lord and spark a rush to capture the king first. I would never actually be taken, but it would only add hassle, so I choose to lie low. Seeing me hold firm, Xiongha stops trying to talk me out of it and nods that it is fine as long as there are no problems. Then she offers that she has been researching plenty of new plant species lately, all growing in the underground farmland I built for her before, and asks whether I want to come take a look, adding that I can carry off some seeds to cultivate if I like. I nod and tell her, with a smile, that I will not stand on ceremony then. Time slips past and nearly 2 hours drain away until it is 3 in the morning. For most people, this is a fine hour to be asleep, but for some, tonight is a sleepless one, above all in the areas where Will and Xiongha hold ground. There, dozens of lords great and small had been clawing at one another, brimming with ambition, when countless giant ants surged up as if crawling out of hell and cut their struggles short. They are told this is no clash of heroes but a squabble among weaklings, then conscripted and herded into the belly cavities of hovering ants, dozens of them stuffed until they bulge and ride low, overloaded. With that, every lord in both areas loses his sovereignty and switches his allegiance. Both, like 09 and Baekhyun, reach glory level 4 and stand as the last lords left in their respective areas, and both receive the notice to open the area core dungeon ahead of schedule. Once all 4 of them clear that dungeon, they will become area chiefs and gain the full slate of abilities an area chief holds. And there are still nearly 2 days left before the eternal night fully ends. By now, in the banquet hall of my underground city, the 5 of us are gathered around a round table. It is 3 in the morning, but even a fragile Blue Star college kid can pull an all-nighter. Never mind these top survivors tempered by Dark World battles and all risen to Tier 1. Every one of them is the sole lord of an area now, faces bright with joy, without a trace of sleepiness. I scan the group, catch their expressions, and cannot help smiling as I ask whether they are truly set on opening the instance right now, reminding them I already warned them how brutal the area core dungeon is, and that they need to think it through for themselves. 09 hardly counts, since I cleared the thing using her Skypillar, and she is its very creator, so when she activates her mech god, state her combat power leaps enormously. It is Baekhyun and the others, still without platinum rank combat power, who worry me. The area core dungeon allows no cheating whatsoever, leaning entirely on one's own strength with maybe a few small tools carried in, and I cannot send a single ant to help. Meeting my concerned gaze, several of them set their jaws and nod. They tell me that if this were a fight against a free-roaming platinum-rank creature, they would absolutely wait until they had platinum combat power in hand, but with the 1-minute time limit and the items they have prepared, it will be fine. Will agrees that they could play it safe and hold off until they reach platinum first. Then he presses the point that one step behind becomes every step behind, and that in the ferocious competition of the Dark World, a man who lacks the will to press forward will never go far. Seeing how set they are, I stop arguing and nod, telling them in a low voice that I understand and will not stop them since they have already decided, and that they should take these little guys along, who ought to be a help. I point behind me, where 4 groups, 20 ants in all, sit oozing black gas, each one round as a watermelon. These are self-destruct ants grown to gold rank infused with the demonized Minotaur's genes, the demonized big boy combination I bred not long ago. I explain that they cannot form a mutual aid contract with my ants, and that any other ant carried into the instance would strike out blindly, friend and foe alike. But self-destruct ants have no such issue, because all they do is explode, so there is nothing to control. Baekhyun asks, uneasy, whether that is not actually worse. I tell him not to worry, that these ants carry a special gene sequence, the big boy combination I mentioned before, with a fierce weakening effect. The big boy I used in my own instance was only silver rank and still stripped 20% of the guardian monster's strength, and these are gold rank, so they will shave off at least 40 to 50%. On top of that, they do not detonate on their own, and only blow if they endure a freefall impact from over 100 meters up, so all they have to do is time the Platinum Guardian's awakening, and set them off from 500 meters away. That eases Baekhyun a little, and he steps forward, but the sight of the round-bellied self-destruct ants looking ready to burst at any second stops him cold, so he backs off a couple of steps and shoves Xiongha and the others behind him for cover. I shake my head, smiling, and tell him to just think of them as pressure-triggered bombs. Perfectly safe. He does need to work out how to set the blast off, though, whether by lifting them high for a free fall or by a hard remote collision. If it is the second method, he must make sure the collision force runs high enough, or it will never trigger. Xiongha tells me there is no problem, that she has a safe way to trigger them, thanks me, then walks right past Baekhyun, squats down before the self-destruct ants, and gently strokes their warm, soft bellies, telling the cute little guys she is counting on them. Will and 09 step up to claim their own groups as well. Baekhyun, seeing that nobody else is afraid, has no choice but to fake his composure, walking to his assigned group and calling out in a shaky voice that they are not scary in the least. So cute. Clearing my instance took me about an hour and 20 minutes, and since Will and the others lack my strength at mass combat, wiping out all the spatial monsters will run far slower for them. At least 2 hours, maybe 3 or 4. After seeing my teammates off, I rise and head for the 5th floor warehouse area. Helping clear their areas earned me a mountain of resources, a large share of it shipped back to my shelter as thanks, and it is all heaped in the warehouse now. When I reach it, a storage room 10 meters high and 100 meters deep is stacked to the brim with resources, sorted by nothing at all, a chaotic mess that gives me an instant headache. Better to have Tak Mungyel find someone to put it in order, since it looks like a landfill, but Tak Mungyel just marched his team through helping 09, Will, and Shung Ha tally their vassals back to back, so he is wrung out. Let him rest well, and he can sort it slowly afterward. Off to one side of the storage room entrance sits a separate pile, a small mountain whose peak stands 2 heads taller than me, and its contents are uniform. All slim diary-like booklets, unowned manuals every one. These little books, no bigger than a notebook, have stacked into a heap that dwarfs me, a testament to their sheer number. They total 12,245 copies, gathered from Will's and the others' 4 areas and all handed to me. Every unowned manual stands for a blue star human who died somewhere in the dark world. A mountain of corpses, a sea of blood, and this is a mountain built of bones. My chest goes heavy as I take out my own manual and lay it gently atop the pile. The next instant, black fire catches and ashes roll loose, and it takes a full 20 minutes for my manual to swallow those 12,000 and more unknown books. My glory sits at level 5 now, 27,029 of the 40,000 needed. Still a fair stretch of experience short of level 6. Each area holds 10,000 manuals, and manual experience only transfers rather than vanishing, so even manuals another lord has absorbed come to me the moment I conquer him. At this rate, dragging my glory up to level 6 means attacking at least 2 more areas. I frown slightly and close the manual. I am about to go check the magic metal production line when I stop myself. The metal will not pile up high enough to repair the wizard tower until around noon, so never mind, I should rest first. It is already 3:30 in the morning, and I am worn thin, so I unfold my light wings and streak off toward my bedroom. In the early morning, I open my eyes slowly and check my manual to find it is already 7:30. I sit up, draw a deep breath, and feel instantly wonderfully refreshed. I was grinding away so late last night, and yet after only 4 hours of sleep, I am fully recovered, which would have been flatly impossible before. It seems Mowal reaching platinum handed me more than those few attribute points. Some quieter enhancements folded in besides. I touch my chest and feel the powerful throb of the heart that is fused with the heart of the Lord, then pick up my manual and start paging through it, wondering whether Will and the others had a smooth run of it. Their messages are already waiting. One says the job is done, and he will come by after sleep. Baekhyun crows that he succeeded, cleared his instance and seeded the area core, so his area can move now too, though his spot lands more toward the center, and we may end up a bit far apart, which is a shame. Cheongha reports that Little Green is beautifully suited to this Guardian mode, that the whole trip was easy, and that she has not had such a satisfying kill in a long time. Seeing that every teammate cleared and checked in, I let out a breath and smile faintly. It is good they all passed, and from the timestamps on their messages, they must have been drained and dropped straight to sleep, so we will hold a meeting to sort out our next moves once they wake. 09 was the quickest to message me, since with her platinum combat power and Sky Pillar she cleared the instance in 2 hours, while the others ran much slower, the slowest being Will at a full 3.5. Will's ability to clear a crowd is genuinely a bit thin, poorly suited to large-scale fighting. Gauging everyone's recovery, I send around a message to meet at 11. Then I pick up my communication ant and call Tak Mungyol, telling him to have the banquet hall kitchen prepare lunch. He asks what I would like the kitchen to make, Western, Chinese, or a fusion of both. I mull it over, and in a half daze I remember the days when we first pulled a team together. Still so weak, resources so thin that a pot of hot pot counted as a luxury. Now we are all area chiefs, the sole lords of our own domains. I tell Tak Mungyol to just make hot pot. Time flies. After breakfast, I tour the territory and listen to Tak Mungyel's report on the recent affairs of the domain, and before long it is nearly 11. I rise, leave my office, and reach the banquet hall, where the attendants flanking the door bow in unison and greet me as Lord. I nod, and ask whether the dishes are all ready. One tells me respectfully that everything is prepared, that they have set out a 4-compartment hot pot base of clear broth, mushroom, tomato, and butter, with every ingredient the most precious gold-rank meat, vegetable, and fruit the territory has to offer, and asks whether they should serve now. I smile and tell them it is excellent, that they should have Tak Mungyal log a contribution for the banquet hall workgroup, and to hold the food until everyone has arrived. My territory structure grows more complete by the day, and I have accumulated a great many good things, so every elixir, skill book, dish, and item now trades for contribution points. Hearing that contribution is on offer, the attendants on both sides light up with joy and thank me over and over. unable to keep from marveling at how generous their lord is. Not long after I sit down, several teleport requests come in, and I remark that they are quite punctual. Will and the others surface one after another into the hall in good spirits, and I smile and congratulate them on their triumphant return, telling them they all worked hard and to take their seats quickly. Everyone settles in, the attendant sees the moment to rush the prepared dishes out, and the steaming 4-compartment hot pot arrives alongside plates kept crisp with ice shavings. Xiongha exclaims in delight that it is hot pot, that it has been so long since we last had it. Baekhyun jumps in that it truly has, that he has been craving it for ages, and that he just knew I would lay on the food, so skipping breakfast was absolutely the right call. Will and 09 say nothing, but their eyes are fixed on the steaming pot, and after a night of hard labor they are plainly both starving and spent. In no hurry I smile and tell them to eat first and talk after. Baekhyun announces that he will not stand on ceremony then and dives in, while Xiongha says not a word and simply gets to eating, prompting Baekhyun to protest that she is charging ahead of everyone. Lately, under the pressure of the area chief race, none of us, myself included, had managed a proper meal, only wolfing down whatever was fast, so now we can finally let go completely and eat our fill. Baekhyun groans that he is stuffed to bursting, then wonders aloud how Xiongha packs it all away, since she looks so slim yet eats twice what he does. Xiongha's hand shoots out and clamps onto him, and he whimpers and backpedals fast, promising he will not say another word. She releases him, elegantly wiping her hands, though the flush high on her cheek says she is not entirely composed inside. I shake my head with a laugh and ask whether everyone's trip went smoothly. Will nods and admits he was probably the slowest, explaining that to avoid wasting resources he killed every monster across all 10 spaces, and that his bloodthirsty battle axe even broke a rank, sitting only one step short of platinum now. He adds, though, that the final platinum rank demonized Minotaur was truly terrifying, and that if not for the self-destruct ants I gave him, which stripped it of more than half its strength, he might not be sitting here at all. The memory of that monster's power pulls a slight frown from him. Baekhyun chimes in that he was careless too, that a platinum rank creature's fighting power far outran his expectations, and that had it not been restricted, and had his own preparations been any thinner, he really would have fallen this time. He and Xiongha both wear the lingering dread of it, and only 09 keeps her expression even. I nod gently and ask whether the guardian monsters they faced were all demonized Minotaurs too, and whether the smaller monsters were not the same two kinds of oxen I ran into. Baekhyun confirms they were exactly those, the silver-ranked giant-horned wild oxen and the gold-ranked golden-horned savage bull, and points to the bright red beef rolls still left on a plate, cut from the golden-horned savage bull. I nod and observe that everyone's area core dungeon evidently holds the same monsters, and that given more time a fair number of people should work out how to handle them. Then I ask whether they all brought back the demonized Minotaur's corpses. They all nod, and Baekhyun says of course, that a platinum-ranked creature is the single most precious thing in the instance, and that he would sooner leave himself behind than leave it. I nod and tell them the demonized Minotaur's cerebrospinal fluid is of enormous use to me, and that if they have no need of it, I would like it, and will trade them other demonized Minotaur resources in exchange. Baekhyun fumbles the word, stammering something about spine, and Xiongha supplies cerebrospinal fluid for him. Exasperated, Baekhyun brightens in recognition, saying he has no use for the stuff either, that I should just take it, and that talking about trades is far too formal. Everyone nods along, but I shake my head, telling them it is a platinum rank resource they risked their lives to carry out, so we will do it my way. Then I ask whether they check their area cores to see where their areas sit and how many enemies are near. Baekhyun and 09 nod, while Will and Xiongha shake their heads, so I tell those two to go confirm it first and then come back so we can decide our next move. They agree and slip out. They are back in barely a minute. Will's face is as calm as ever, but Xiongha comes in visibly rattled, and before she has even sat, she blurts that she has 5 areas ringing her, and that 2 of the neighboring ones are moving toward her right now. Baekhyun flares up, indignant and a little thrilled at once, demanding who was so bold as to attack Xiongha, and vowing that the moment they close in we hit them with a wave of counter-invasion. He points out that these are 2 whole areas, benefits delivered straight to our doorstep, and that it would be a crime to leave them on the table. Will lets a thin smile show a spark of fight kindling in his eyes, and notes that areas can move and travel separately, so these must be 2 area chiefs, a fine chance to measure how strong other area chiefs really are. With the 2 of them so eager and warlike, Xiongha loses her earlier fluster and breathes a little easier. I only shake my head though. String enough victories together and everyone grows overconfident, and while confidence is a fine thing, blind confidence and slack vigilance are the quickest road to disaster. I tell them not to write these 2 area chiefs off, that anyone who could unify an area this fast before the eternal night ends will always carry some extraordinary quality. Then I ask Xiongha how far off they are and how long until they arrive, and whether she noted it. She nods, saying she has no real sense of the exact distance, but that she roughly gauged the drift speed of the white light points marking their areas on the map, and that they will link up with her area in 2 days at the outside. She came back only a minute ago, spotted that 2 enemies were bearing down on her, and still observed that carefully, which is meticulous work, and I give her an approving look. 2 days, I muse, lands right about when the Eternal Night ends, and by then the rest of them should all have platinum rank combat power in hand. Baekhyun says he has no problem there, that he needs enough treasures to advance, and that becoming an area chief and firing up his area core lifted his strength sharply. With that and the pile of resources and items he plundered along the way, only one step remains to platinum, and he should get there tonight. Will frowns in thought and says he will be a touch slower, needing time to digest his recent gains, but not 2 days, about a day and a half. Cheongha adds that Little Green will make it in time too, and that once Little Green advances to platinum, she will undergo a qualitative change. I survey the group, smile, and nod that our odds have climbed a few points, that even a lion uses its full strength to catch a rabbit, let alone 2 covetous area chiefs. Most people, I point out, would sit back and digest an area's resources for a while after becoming chief, but these 2 attacked outright, which means they are either reckless or working from solid intelligence. Cheong observes that anyone able to break through and become an area chief this quickly is no simple figure, and should have some intelligence behind him. I nod and press on, that if 2 area chiefs strike at the same time without knowing each other, it is mere coincidence and no matter. But if they do know each other, then it grows a great deal more interesting. Even my companions and I can only stay coordinated through the mutual aid contract, and even so our areas sit thousands of miles apart. Yet these 2 are close together and still acting in lockstep, and how they manage it is anyone's guess, since the odds of their teammates simply happening to be nearby are lower than winning 2 lotteries back to back. Baekhyun snaps his fingers, delighted, saying intelligence is exactly what we lack right now, so we should capture the pair and wring them dry. I nod and agree that intelligence is vital for our next moves, which is precisely why we have to defeat them cleanly, and not let a scrap of it slip away, since charging in headlong may feel good but would be a disaster if it scared them off. Baekhyun scratches his head sheepishly and admits he got a little too excited, then asks what we should do instead. I tell everyone to think it through together, and then I will start us off, then pause, signal an attendant to pour tea, clear my throat, and go on. Their areas are their main strongholds, I say, and even if they are not run like impregnable fortresses, they must hold considerable strength, so we need to lure the enemy in deep, ring them, and at the same moment send a portion of our force to strike back at their shelters, leaving them no way out by sky or by land. Baekhyun nods hard, clapping in approval and calling the plan brilliant, already picturing the enemy wiped out. Cheongha, though, knits her brow, looking a little doubtful, and points out that the idea is good but must be terribly hard to pull off, since the instant those 2 sense something is wrong, they will likely pull back at once. I nod with a smile and concede that yes, it will be hard to execute, but where there is a will, there is a way, and we can only do our best. If it truly fails, we can always fall back on a frontal assault, which merely costs us more troops and is still a net gain against the rewards. Cheongha frowns and raises one last question, asking who exactly is going to carry out the plan to lure the enemy, and whether it will be Baekhyun. Hearing his name, Baekhyun perks up and thrusts his right hand into the air, but before he can get a word out, Cheongha shakes her head and says he is far too flamboyant and would give himself away at first glance. Baekhyun protests that he won his school's Performance Star Award back in 3rd grade, and that if not for his father's rigid nature, he would have gone into the entertainment industry. Cheongha rolls her eyes and ignores the theatrics entirely, continuing that she and Will are unsuitable too, their mobility too limited, and their acting not up to the task, and that my answer simply too strong, sure to tip the enemy off. She does not even name 09 outright, but I catch her meaning. 09's flat, silent, expressionless manner would look bizarre on someone supposedly fleeing for her life, and once she unleashed Sky Pillar, the 2 lords would be fools not to turn and run, making her completely wrong for the bait. By her reckoning, not one of the 5 of us fits the role. Baekhyun deflates like a punctured ball and slumps across the table, moaning that this will not work and that will not work. So after all this, we still just charge straight in. The group falls quiet for a moment, no better idea in reach. Then I smile and ask whoever said the one playing bait had to come from among the 5 of us. They stare at me, confused, unable to think who else could shoulder the task. I do not string them along, telling them it is a promising talent I turned up by chance, someone who should be able to handle the mission just fine. As their puzzlement only deepens, I stand and tell them to come along and meet him, the leading man of the grand play we are about to stage, and add that this fellow is actually over in 09's territory. 09's territory. Will and the others look faintly lost and glance at 09, who stays perfectly expressionless, so they have no choice but to follow me to her shelter, Tak Mungyel tagging along too. The moment the teleport clears, my eye is caught by 09's shelter itself. Its first floor is 4 times the size it used to be, with a wooden staircase climbing up and another stair dropping down, faint noise drifting from below that suggests a good crowd is down there. The sudden expansion leaves me briefly stunned. I know about the underground space, since I arranged for Rock Spirit to dig it out so 09 could temporarily house her 4,000-odd vassals, but this swollen first floor is another matter, and I half wonder whether Rock Spirit picked up side work. Then I notice Will and the others show no surprise at all, and it clicks. 09 has become an area chief, and unlike mine, her shelter's main body was never destroyed, so this has to be a level 5 shelter after an upgrade. I am in no rush to ask after its functions, since it is past noon and I have gathered enough magic metal, so once we finish talking tactics, I will head back and upgrade my own shelter, to see for myself. I turn to Tak Mungyal behind me and tell him to go downstairs and call some people up. Seok Hongjun and the rest of the 6 great heavenly kings. He answers at once and jogs down the stairs, familiar with the place after having compiled all of 09's vassal information himself. Baekhyun and the others are startled, asking whether 09's territory really holds characters as fearsome as 6 great heavenly kings. I shake my head with a smile and explain that it is only what the survivors in their area call themselves. They enjoy the role and have sunk deep into character though, with enough acting skill to fool an enemy, and their strength still passes muster, so they should manage the task. 09 was the least involved of us, in her own local area, where most of the regional resources sat locked up by a handful of powerful lords, the so-called 6 great heavenly kings, whose strength naturally outstrips the lords in Will's area. Seok Hongjun above all, a man who could summon over 100 gold-rank earth element golems in a single breath, must already have brushed the threshold of Tier 1. Soon Tak Mungyal leads a group of 6 up from below, urging them to hurry because the lords are waiting, and they file into a row behind him, with uneasy faces, Seok Hongjun at the front. I greet him with a smile, remarking that the Rockhammer Heavenly King and I meet again. Seok Hongjun only wears an awkward, bitter look and begs the Lord not to tease him, saying that after witnessing my power he finally understood what it is to be a frog at the bottom of a well, and asks what I need of him. I walk up and clap him hard on the shoulder, telling him not to look so low and to cheer up, that I have a mission for the 6 great heavenly kings. A mission? They look puzzled, but as I lay it out, their confusion curdles into alarm, and they echo it back in disbelief. Lure 2 area chiefs, them. They are no longer the swaggering 6 great heavenly kings of before, because after being beaten and instantly crushed by me, they have gained a whole new understanding of what the title Area Chief truly means. Hearing me ask them to draw 2 area chiefs in deep leaves their legs weak, Seok Hongjun cannot help protesting, his face mournful, that the Lord, well, this. I clap his shoulder again in encouragement and tell him not to worry, that the 5 of us will be watching the entire time and will hand them life-saving items, so nothing will happen to them. And to go at it boldly, he rubs the shoulder I just battered and, with no other choice, agrees that they will give it a try. Satisfied, I turn to Chungha and tell her, smiling, that we will go set everything up at her place, and that next she should simply focus on breaking through and preparing to meet the enemy. I bring the 6 great heavenly kings to Chungha's shelter and outfit them with a good many vassals, planting them at several key nodes across the area and handing out a mound of communication ants so they can stay in touch. I write them a script besides, one where they form alliances, scheme, and attack one another, and detail-minded as ever, I have Swift Shadow return the scavenged resources to their various ownerless shelters, and turn loose a swarm of the mutated beasts I had raised. With that, a living, breathing Area Chief free zone stands fully formed. I survey my handiwork with satisfaction, then tell the astonished Chungha to let it all develop naturally for 2 more days, to bury any unnatural traces, to keep a close eye on the travel speed of the 2 area chiefs, and to contact us 6 hours ahead. She nods that she understands. Now everything is in place, and all that is missing is the east wind. After bidding Chungha farewell, I return to my shelter. 2 days, counting this half day, should let Mowol cultivate over 30 platinum-grade Black Scythe Hunter ants, and I have already shown my new arrivals enough attention, so it would be rude to keep putting them off. I go straight to the 5th underground floor, the Magic Metal Workshop, and as I step in I find Mei Muchang looking a little haggard, and 09 counting out magic metal. 09 turns and gives me a slight nod. Taking her signal, I smile at the production line workers and tell them they have all worked hard, that the production task is concluded for now, and that they are free to move about and collect their contribution points and currency for the work at the government hall. The workers erupt in cheers of "Long live the Lord." One crows that they are finally free and wonders how fat the reward will be. Another guesses it will be plenty since he hears the production line hands earn very well, and all of them urge each other off for a drink. They stream out arm in arm, and the workshop that was roaring a moment ago falls instantly silent, leaving only me, 09, and the pitiful-looking Mei Muchang in the vast space. Mei Muchang asks her master, in that clingy little third-person way of hers, whether Muchang has any other tasks to arrange. I have no attention to spare for her just now, so I tell her to go back and rest first, that we will talk once things settle down, and that she has worked hard, waving her off. Seeing my indifference, she leaves in tears. Mei Muchang's whole appearance is the sort that would set most people's protective instincts blazing, but I am not moved in the slightest, because having signed a mutual aid contract with her, I can judge with perfect accuracy that her current display is entirely put on. Good acting, I will give her that. Then it strikes me that there actually is a fitting task for Mei Muchang, a flash of inspiration handing me the perfect spot to place her. At the moment though, I want the wizard tower repaired more than anything, so I set that thought aside for later. I walk with 09 toward the area behind the storeroom where the damaged wizard tower is kept, and I tell her I am counting on her to repair the wizard tower. 09 stays expressionless, giving a small nod as she walks into the storeroom, and I follow her in close behind. The place is already packed with magic metals, each piece shimmering with flecks of starlight in the dim air, and the whole heap looks faintly mysterious. Behind it stands the ruined wizard tower, hunched deep in the room like a decaying old tree, split and worn down to the grain. As I watch, a line of black scythe hunter ants ferries magic metals over one after another, setting them down at the tower's base, and the moment each piece crosses within a meter of the tower, something strange happens. The tower seems to wake, drawing the metal onto its broken body and devouring it at a speed the eye can follow. In seconds, the metal is swallowed whole, and the cracked stone that took it in mends over, turning smooth as a mirror. 09 explains, without pausing her direction of the ants, that the wizard tower carries a self-repairing function and only needs to be fed magic metals to shed its wear and heal fast. She adds that it is best to have a full supply on hand and mend it all at once, since otherwise the tower will keep sliding back into damage. I nod that I follow, then fix my eyes on the tower as its readout ticks down in front of me, damage at 52% and asking for more metal, then 50, then lower and lower still. The repair runs so quick that the damage level drops at a visible rate, and at this pace it will stand flawless in maybe 10 minutes. A tower more than half wrecked, patched whole in the time it takes to boil a kettle. It seems that as long as the magic metal holds out, I need never fear the tower breaking down, so I make a note to stockpile a good backup of it going forward. Time slides by, and soon the 10 minutes are up. As the last torn seam knits shut, the whole tower turns complete and without blemish, and its body lights up with the same starlight specks as the metal. Then, with nothing driving it, the tower lifts slightly of its own accord and hovers half a meter off the floor. 09 points to the base and tells me the levitation inscription carved there has taken hold, that I can bind the tower now, and that once bound I can try upgrading the shelter. She says she still has experiments waiting, so I should take my time with it, and I thank her with a nod, turning back to study the tower with real anticipation. Its information reads that this is a gold rank wizard tower, growable and still unbound, and that all is illusion while only truth is eternal. It can serve as a shelter, and after binding I become the tower master and gain the wizard inheritance, with each upgrade unlocking new floors and new inherited knowledge. The tower currently holds 3 floors, and its unlocked abilities are the levitation inscription, the invisibility inscription, and the space rune. The damaged state is gone at last, and the thing can finally be bound. Excitement rises in my face as I step forward and lay a hand on the tower's body, and when it asks whether I wish to bind it, I confirm that I do. The instant I make the choice, a sharp pain lances through my brain, as though a needle had pricked deep behind my forehead. Under my spiritual power, it comes and goes fast though, gone in under 5 seconds, and as it fades my head clears and I feel a faint, subtle thread connect me to the tower. A flood of information settles into my mind alongside it, though most of it concerns the tower itself. And about the wizard inheritance and the several inscriptions the tower has unlocked, I remain entirely in the dark. I frown at the tower a moment, then vanish where I stand and teleport straight inside it. With the grip I now hold over the tower, I know at once where to find my answers, and I arrive directly at its spire, the small mezzanine where the area core sits. The space stays cramped, only about 10 square meters, unchanged by the repair, but the stone pillar that held the area core and the pillar that held the snakehead staff have merged into a single pillar, now serving as both area core and wizard tower core at once. Binding the tower has given me a fresh understanding of this mezzanine and its core. Each time the tower evolves, a new floor appears, but it is never added above the current 3, only below the 3rd, which means this mezzanine always stays fixed at the very tip. And the wizard tower core can not only cast space spells but receive the whole of the wizard inheritance. I step forward and touch it, and it asks whether I wish to accept the inheritance, warning me that the inheritance is unique and that once taken no other creature can accept it again. I am about to confirm, then hesitate and slowly draw my right hand back from the core. From what the tower has told me, the wizard inheritance demands hard rationality and the patience to endure long stretches of lonely research, and I cannot help weighing whether it truly suits me. If Wang Heon's genetic experiments are biology, and Sun Weipeng's two-form elixir Dao is chemistry, then the inscription carving craft of this inheritance is closer to physics. I am no science prodigy like 09, and I have to ask myself honestly whether I could ever really grasp it. Studying inscription work is not only slow and grueling, it demands total focus, and as a lord with thousands of vassals, an ant colony, and a whole team to run, I have far too much on my hands to sink into it. Do not let the 3 unlocked inscriptions fool anyone either, because once mastered in depth this craft would be devastating. Master it shallowly though, and I would end up like Heo Singyol, a half-baked practitioner who only leans on the tower's built-in functions, and never draws out its real power, effectively handing me a free ride. So I set the temptation down. There is another problem, and it is the heavier one. Vassals will not do however tightly they sit under my control, because human hearts stay unreadable no matter what, and this tower is the main body of my shelter, my single most crucial and core possession. I hold ownership of it, but the moment someone accepts its inherited knowledge, they become half its master. So the inheritor has to be a being I trust 100%. 100%. I frown over that, and then my eyes light up. Because is there anyone I trust more than Molewall and Rock Spirit, who have signed a mutual aid contract with me? An Ant Queen carries absolute rationality by nature, and as her rank climbs, her intelligence climbs with it. This is a far better choice than any human. The wizard inheritance is not bound by species. As long as an ant holds enough intelligence, she can study it and dig into its depths. The dark world is stuffed with powerful inheritances like this, and if I hand one to each Ant Queen, then with enough queens I could hold any number of inheritances all at once. The more I turn it over, the more excited I get. And yet I catch myself, because however mighty the wizard inheritance is, what suits a person is what serves best. Biting off more than I can chew is a fool's game, and I have long since fixed my road on raising ants. Just deepening my grip on that one path is already headache enough without opening a second. I am no genius, at least not by raw intelligence, but my strength has always been a clear read on myself and a firm grasp of the principle that you give one thing up to gain another. Besides, the ants are my beast companions, and whatever they master is, in truth, mine, so there is no need to draw such a sharp line. Having settled on passing the inheritance to a queen, I start weighing which of my little ones should take it. The queens carry no obvious slant toward one kind of power, so I only need to match personality against the demands of the inheritance. First I rule out Leisure Cloud, that lazy layabout, and Mars, my hot-blooded demolition maniac. Swift Shadow does not fit well either, since her temperament runs like a soldier's, ideal for carrying out orders without flinching but poorly matched to research and study. As for Rock Spirit, her serious nature makes her a natural architectural master and would actually suit research, except that as my territory keeps spreading, there are simply too many places she is needed. That leaves only Molewall. Her personality is serious, focused, and good at thought, and she was the first among her rank to try putting her own feelings into words. She was also the first to reach platinum rank, and her intelligence stands highest of all the queens, so giving her the inheritance means she can start studying inscriptions at once. The timing is perfect too, since she has no reason to go out lately and breeding ants asks little thought, so she can study inscriptions and breed at the same time. Molewall it is. I reach her through the mutual aid contract and call her over, and she answers that she is coming. When she arrives at the wizard tower, I have her receive the inheritance right away, and a full hour passes before she takes in the whole of it and gains a fresh grasp of the 3 inscriptions the tower has unlocked. Even so, actually learning to carve an inscription, even the lowest grade, will still take a long stretch of steady study. The levitation inscription holding the entire tower aloft is in fact a gold rank inscription, and to carve one of those, even with talent, calls for long learning and practice. Heo Singyol could never have mastered a gold rank levitation inscription that fast, and the several holding this tower up plainly came with it. Leftover work from some past tower master. Molewall thanks me and says she finds inscriptions very interesting, and I tell her to study hard, that this is her main task from here on. After taking the inheritance, Molewall's already sharp mind seems to sharpen further, so that apart from her body still being a great ant, her intelligence now stands fully on a level with the humans, her cleverness even brushing the range of a minor human genius. I give her a word of encouragement and set her to breeding ants while she studies, then return to the mezzanine at the spire and turn straight to the tower core. It is time to push the shelter to level 5. My shelter's main structure was wrecked and swapped out for a wizard tower, and I have no idea what changes that will bring, since I have never once heard of such a case. I feel a flicker of unease over it, but things have already come this far, so I can only steel myself and try. I take a deep breath, pick up the manual, flip to the upgrade page, and, when it asks, confirm. The familiar black mist swells up again and swallows the whole tower. The same transformation mist that shows every time the shelter upgrades. The one that can expand a shelter in almost no time at all. I have not seen it in a long while, and I cannot help wondering whether it will even work now that my shelter has become a wizard tower, or whether all it can do is tack on another floor. Soon the mist thins and disperses, and the tower looks not the slightest bit different, as if the transformation had no effect whatsoever. I frown, grab the manual, and flip to the upgrade page, and finding the shelter level has indeed reached 5, I finally let out a small breath of relief. The condition to reach level 6, though, has changed outright, now demanding that I annex 5 areas. The Dark World is not even bothering to pretend anymore, setting the upgrade condition to annexing areas so that everyone tears at everyone else. But what advantage does climbing higher actually give, to make people go for each other's throats like this? That transformation mist nags at me too, since I refuse to believe it did nothing at all, so I study the tower carefully. And at last I find the clue. The tower's evolution progress has jumped a full 20%, up to 31%. From what I understand of the tower, driving its evolution takes 2 things, a large stock of precious materials on one side, and Molewall deepening her grasp of the inheritance on the other. So this 20% is precious beyond measure. Measured against magic metal, the amount it would take is no small pile, more than half again what I just spent repairing the tower. Gaining that much progress out of thin air, simply by upgrading the shelter, is a gift I never saw coming. So the mist was not useless after all. It was absorbed by the tower and turned into evolution progress. I need to keep upgrading the shelter fast, so the tower can drink in more mist and evolve all the quicker. I fix my resolve, then look again at the tower core where it has merged with the area core, and I find that hitting level 5 has brought 2 new functions. The first is supersonic sailing, at its first level, which raises the regional island's sailing speed by 10%. The second is a protective barrier, also at its first level, which throws up a shield holding 100 protection points, able to soak up attack energy. Reading it, I cannot help laughing, because the area is looking more and more like a ship by the day. The barrier's real worth is not clear to me yet, but the supersonic sailing is plainly useful, its effect telling whether the point is pursuit or escape, and a low sailing level would leave a lord at an absolute disadvantage. The strange thing is that both functions display only their levels and not their upgrade conditions. I ask around and find my teammates have no idea how to upgrade the 2 functions either, so I set the question aside for later. Soon Will and the others open trades with me one after another, laying the heads of the demonized minotaurs they killed in the area core dungeon onto the trading bar. None of them knew where the cerebrospinal fluid sits, so they simply ship the whole heads over as packages, and when I receive them I can hardly contain myself. The cerebrospinal fluid from a single demonized minotaur was enough to push Mole to platinum rank, and now there are 4 of them. Does that not mean 4 more platinum rank queens? I do not even bother messaging Wang Hian first. I tuck the 4 heads into my storage ring, spread my light wings, and fly straight for the biological laboratory. In the lab, I watch Wang Hian meticulously measure the 4 minotaur heads, staying silent so long that I finally have to ask whether these materials can raise 4 platinum rank queens. He sets down his instrument, pushes his glasses up, and says the fluid content in the heads varies, some richer, some thinner, but that on average it comes out about the same as the last minotaur. If a queen has already reached gold rank, he tells me, 1 portion is enough to lift her to platinum, but for a queen below gold, far more fluid would be needed. I frown because apart from Mowal, who is already platinum, I now have 5 queens, Swift Shadow, Rock Spirit, Light Healing, Mars, and Leisure Cloud. Among them though, only Swift Shadow, Rock Spirit, and Mars have truly reached gold, while Light Healing and Leisure Cloud are still silver. So 4 platinum queens is off the table. Wang Hian nods that in theory it could be done, and that I as the Lord need to pick my priority targets. I lower my head in thought. Swift Shadow's ability turns on reconnaissance efficiency, which will matter enormously in the operations ahead. And on top of that, her sentry ants have performed superbly on other missions and already reached gold, so she upgrades on less fluid, which makes her a must to prioritize. The second target is the Master Builder Rock Spirit, all but a mandatory pick. As for the third, whether Light Healing, Leisure Cloud, or Mars, there is a case to be made for any of them. Since Light Healing turns on healing, recovery, and boosting growth, Mars on ultimate blasting, and Leisure Cloud on transport. I turn it over a long while and finally look up and confirm my choice. Leisure Cloud, raising her to platinum first. Wang Hian looks at me with some surprise, plainly not expecting me to choose Leisure Cloud for the platinum upgrade, but he only adjusts his glasses and offers no opinion. He says all of them should reach platinum by evening, and that with some fluid left over I can either save it or feed it to Light Healing and Mars to push their progress past gold. I tell him to feed it all and save nothing, then bid him farewell and leave the lab. Choosing Leisure Cloud as the third target was a calculated call, since I am about to face the invasion of 2 area chiefs. Light Healing leans towards support, post-battle recovery, and lifting production. And while that role matters, taking her to gold is already enough and would add little to the coming fight. Cultivating Mars would raise my blasting power another notch, and sharply lift my combat strength, true. But the self-destruct ants explosion is a sublimation of life that burns all its life energy away, and even a gold-ranked self-destruct ant's power is terrifying, enough that not even a platinum entity can wholly shrug off a chain of gold blasts. Push Mars to platinum and the effect would be far from small, but against these particular enemies the power would simply be overkill. Leisure Cloud, meanwhile, may serve only as transport for now. Yet in the coming encirclement battle, whether hauling troops in bulk or carrying off the spoils afterward, she can play a huge role. Upgrading her would not only raise her flying speed and defense, but expand her cargo space, which makes her strategically vital. After leaving Wang Hian, I head back to the gravity room to temper my body. My focus stays on commanding ants, and I hold plenty of life-saving skills, but I have never let my own strength slacken, even though at my current level the gravity room does less to raise my attributes than to sharpen my control over my own body. I carry the Heart of the Lord and draw power feedback from the colony, so with Mowal at platinum, every platinum-grade Black Scythe Hunter ant she raises brings me a noticeable physical boost, and stacked over time the rate of gain is not slow at all. If I trained lazily, within a few days I would likely lose the handle on my own strength again and start crushing cups without meaning to. I grind out standard push-ups against 5-fold gravity, sweat sheeting off me counting under my breath, 3,123, 3,124, on toward 3,128, already close to spent, with 3,500 set as my stopping line. I gnash my teeth and force out each one, hauling myself toward the goal, when all at once my body goes light, and a surge of power wells up from nowhere. My limbs still ache faintly, but I feel wonderful, as if I could easily churn out a few thousand more. It takes only a beat to know the source. It is the feedback from Swift Shadow and the others reaching platinum rank. When Moel broke through, she handed me a real jump in attributes, and now, with 3 queens hitting platinum back to back, the increase is downright absurd. Joy floods my face as I press myself up and stand against the 5-fold gravity, and instead of finishing the set, I bolt straight for the ant nest. I reach the nest and find the queens who have already reached platinum, and like Moel, they have each gained a fresh ability, rapid proliferation. But what truly draws me is what powerful new powers the ants they raise will carry, so I give the order at once. I tell Swift Shadow, Rock Spirit, and Leisure Cloud to prioritize cultivating ants at full capacity and to draw whatever resources they need straight from the warehouse. They answer as one that they hear me, master, and obediently set to breeding at speed. Now my territory has 4 platinum rank queens cultivating flat out at the same time, and the rate at which they burn through resources runs faster than spending money outright. Not a shred of that stings, though. If anything, my face is full of anticipation. I have folded in the resources of a whole area, the haul from the 10 spaces of the area core dungeon, and the rewards Will and his team handed over for clearing the area. Supporting several queens breeding at full tilt for a few days is no trouble at all. Besides, once the Eternal Night ends, we will pitch straight into a chaotic era of grand battles spread across more than 800,000 areas, where power is the only voice that carries. With enough of it, the pace of gathering resources snowballs unstoppably, while without it, no matter how much a person hoards, they only end up a warehouse keeper for some other chief. Though Swift Shadow and the rest are all platinum now, their breeding speeds differ wildly by race. Swift Shadow needs only half an hour to raise a platinum-rank sentry ant, whose body has barely grown, stretched just to 50 centimeters. Its carapace and helmet now carry a wholly different texture, as if coated in oil so that from different angles the air around it warps slightly. Its new ability is optical camouflage, letting it blend into any environment and jam signals, and the denser the ants pack into one area, the stronger the interference. I cannot help praising it over and over. Sentry ants already had camouflage, but nothing as monstrous as this, since now they merge into the surroundings and scramble signals both, which is invisibility to sight and to sensors alike. Sentry ants are natural scouts and assassins through and through. I stroke Swift Shadow's raised little head and tell her, smiling, to keep breeding and to start with 300 platinum-ranked sentry ants, to form several vanguard teams, and to pair the rest proportionally with gold-ranked sentry ants. She answers that she understands. Master, and off she goes. I turn then to Rock Spirit and Leisure Cloud. As large ants, both need far more resources per ant and breed far slower, even slower than Moal, who takes 2 hours apiece, so I tell them to message me once they have raised theirs. I do not simply wait around, though. After giving the order, I return to the gravity room to train and adapt to the sudden swell in my body's strength. Another 2 hours pass, 2.5 in all, before Rock Spirit finally raises her first platinum-ranked tunneling ants, and Leisure Cloud takes another half hour on top. 3 hours total to produce her first platinum-rank hovering ant. I only break off training and head back to the nest when Leisure Cloud's message arrives. I look first at the platinum-ranked tunneling ants. Because tunneling ants can control their own size, in their shrunken state they show no obvious change. But according to Rock Spirit, at full size they now swell to 1.5 times their old bulk, already the size of a large excavator. The size gain sharply raises their work efficiency, yet next to the ability they earned at Platinum it looks trivial. That new power is Earth Element Mastery, which greatly deepens the tunneling ants' affinity for the Earth Element. For most creatures, Earth Element Mastery is only a basic elemental knack, needing a stack of Earth-based skills to shine, and limited on its own. Tunneling ants are another matter, since they work mud every day as though they grew out of the soil. So with Earth Element Mastery, their digging speed and building performance are bound to leap in quality. Yang Jinwei should be thrilled, because these evolved tunneling ants will let him bring many of his new ideas to life. I smile and turn to the platinum rank hovering ant Leisure Cloud has raised. On reaching platinum, the hovering ant's body has doubled outright, and if it was a single-deck Airbus before, Leisure Cloud is now a double-decker. Its body has also gone a hazy white, so that high in the sky it would look exactly like a cloud, far more natural than its old color and a huge boost to its stealth. Its new skill is Jet Dynamics, letting it store gas by breathing and eject it in an instant for acceleration and sharp turns, which lifts its flight speed more than 3-fold. If its body is the size of a bus, then its speed can already rival a high-speed train. With Jet Dynamics, shuffling troops around during the coming encirclement battle will be far easier. I nod, satisfied, and instruct Rock Spirit to breed platinum-ranked tunneling ants with everything she has, since I will need her to help dig traps later. I tell Leisure Cloud to do her best too, that now is her time to shine, though given her breeding pace she likely will not manage many, so just her best will do. They answer that they understand, Leisure Cloud drawling it lazily before drifting off to breed at her own unhurried pace. After looking the little ones over, I finally remember Mei Musheng. Through the mutual aid contract I reach her directly, telling her I have a task, that in a day there will be an ambush in Chungha's territory, that I have set some people to lure the enemy, and that their acting is decent but their details still lacking. As a professional, I say, she is to go guide them and lift the overall quality of the performance so they give nothing away. She answers that Mu Sheng understands, master, rolling her eyes at the job I have handed her, helpless to refuse and muttering to herself, as she wonders aloud what she has not yet accounted for. After sending her off, I breathe a little easier, though I still fret over whether I have prepared enough. Since these are two chiefs launching an early strike, my aim is not the simple one of beating them, but of swallowing them whole and turning them into fuel for my own growth. Even a cornered rabbit bites, and these are two chiefs. Man proposes, and heaven disposes. Time slips quietly past while Will, the others, and I stay buried in preparation, and in the blink of an eye the day is spent, leaving one full day until the two chiefs reach Chungha's area. That moment is also the end of the eternal night. As the second hand steps a hair past midnight, a familiar voice rings out at once in the minds of every survivor across the dark world. It congratulates the survivors on enduring the eternal night, and declares that every survivor who became a chief before its end will receive one reward treasure chest. It bids each of us to command our Black Island and roam the dark world as we please, and warns that the various nodes scattered across the map are both honey and poison, that the strong will claim the rewards they deserve. Black Island. So that is what they call each regional island. Blunt and simple, exactly the sort of naming the dark world favors. Nodes both honey and poison. So the light spots on the map hold reward and danger in equal measure. It runs about as I expected, though it could stand to be a good deal more detailed. The voice cuts off abruptly, but the news it carried matters, so I shake my head and look up at the sky, where an iron box twinkling with starlight drifts slowly down. I take it and check its information, which reads that this is a reward prepared for the strong who became chief before the eternal night ended, since the strong stay strong. Strange, this thing has no rank listed. Cast iron. Could it be a black iron rank chest? No, that is not right, because at this stage even the worst reward should sit above black iron. I shake my head lightly and open it, and several lines of information surface. I have obtained a temporary item called Race Against Time, which placed in the area core raises Black Island's speed by 10% for 1 hour. I have obtained a temporary item called Harvest Whisper, which placed in the area core raises Black Island's biological growth rate, yield, and cultivation speed by 10% for a full day. And I have obtained a permanent item, the Pioneer's Banner, which after use plants a conspicuous marker for Black Island on the Dark World map. Looking down into the chest, I find 2 fist-sized crystal balls, one blue and one green, and a palm-sized crimson banner. Both temporary items are quite good, I think. Race Against Time is like a junior edition of supersonic sailing, and though it only grants 10%, that can seize the initiative in the early going. Harvest's Whisper is broad, but for a lord with my productivity, 10% for a day is no small sum. I slip the 2 crystal balls back into my storage ring, then look at the red banner and shake my head with a smile. This Pioneer's Banner is an amusing thing, because using it does advertise one's strength in becoming an area chief so quickly and can cow others, but it also paints a giant target on your back, so surely nobody would actually plant it right now. I put it away and, curious, go up to the top of the wizard tower, find the area core, and open the Dark World map. The moment it unfurls, a strange look crosses my face. Across the map, packed with countless white light spots, sit plenty of small spots flying little red flags. And the flags are even waving. Insufferably smug, they are bold, all right. I wonder whether they are truly strong or simply blind with overconfidence. I shake my head and am about to leave when my manual erupts in a rapid string of beeps, and picking it up I see a message from Chungha. She reports that the 2 black islands headed her way have sped up, by her read about 10%, so they must have burned the Race Against Time scroll from their chests, and adds that they have gone and raised the Pioneer's Banner as well. She asks what she should do now, whether to wait and watch or pull off to the side. My expression turns stranger still, planting flags, spending scrolls. Is that really how these 2 items are meant to be used? I run the situation again and decide the 2 invading chiefs cannot be strong. Cheongha's Black Island has stayed dead still, which most would read as an area where no chief has yet been decided. Even against an apparently chiefless area, these 2 have to strike together rather than act alone, so their strength cannot amount to much. Certainly not enough to justify flying a flag and swaggering like this. They were meant to arrive in about a full day, but the Race Against Time item will advance that by more than 2 hours, which nicks the troops I can stockpile a little, but on the whole barely dents the plan. I message Chungha back that there's no need to retreat, to proceed by the original plan. The instant her Black Island moves, the 2 will know she has become a chief too and might grow wary. So for now she should let them keep thinking it is a chiefless area. I tell her not to worry, that I will come help set up the battlefield again after midnight. She answers that she understands and will go prepare now. Setting down the manual, I am in no hurry, or rather I have little left to do but wait for Mowal and the others to breed more platinum ants. And that comes down to time alone, with rushing useless. Seeing it is already midnight, I am about to rest when something occurs to me, and I call Tak Mungyul, telling him to issue a mission in the territory to send troops out to fight other chiefs, mainly to muddy the enemy's reed. It is not direct combat, I explain, but it carries some danger, so he should spell out the risks and set the rewards high, and he answers that it is no problem, and he will arrange it at once. I tell him it is not urgent, and to rest once the notice is up. My reason for having Tak Mung-yeol recruit another batch to join the fight comes down to two thoughts. One is a faint worry that the people in Chongha's territory might not be enough. The other is to use the chance to season troops and pick out the true warriors among the territory's vassals. Though I can now solve most problems with ants alone, the Dark World has hinted through various channels that a certain number of vassals must be maintained. Something in me is sure that later matters will demand them, so I have no plan to give up cultivating vassals. After giving my orders, I go to the bedroom and drop straight to sleep, and under a strong biological clock my eyes open again at exactly 6 in the morning. I stretch, rise refreshed, wash up quickly, and eat the breakfast long since laid out for me. Those two chiefs still need more than 10 hours to arrive, really quite slow, so I will get ready and head over to Chongha's side to set up around 9. I am about to ask Tak Mung-yeol how the recruiting went when a message from Moel lands. She asks whether I am awake and says she has good news for me, and when I ask what it is, she tells me she has successfully crafted an inscription, an invisibility inscription. Though only the lowest black iron rank 1, her voice carries 4 parts shyness, 3 parts joy, 2 parts anticipation, and a thread of indifference as if in her eyes she had done something faintly trivial. Once I catch up to her words, though, I am too stunned to speak. A black iron rank invisibility inscription? Already? How long has it even been? The whole reason I gave up the inheritance was the sheer difficulty of understanding and crafting inscriptions, which on top of everything demand endless experimentation I simply had no time for. Dedicate yourself fully, and getting started in half a month is good going. While learning to craft the lowest grade inscription within a month would already mark you a genius. Do not call that slow either, because the wizard's whole profession is built on time, and a month is a blink in a wizard's long life. Moel accepted the inheritance barely a day ago, and she has already carved her first inscription. Could it be that she is truly a genius? I ask her, honestly bewildered, how she managed it, because even a genius has limits, and this has shot so far past the bounds of genius that it feels almost eerie. She answers that she did not find the inscription very hard, that it was like doing everyday chores, handing the unclear points off to her tribesfolk to verify. They would feed the results back to her and she would arrive at the right answer, and slowly every obstacle cleared until she had crafted the first black iron rank invisibility inscription. Her voice stays a little detached, but her words snap it into place for me. So that is how it works. Moel is an ant queen, and a queen can wield the power of the whole ant tribe, and though ordinary ants hold little intelligence and cannot reason for her, they can help her test problems, running through possibilities exhaustively until the correct answer surfaces. In other words, her racial nature fits the wizard inheritance perfectly. I clench my fists in excitement and swallow the outcome fast, then ask, delighted, how effective the invisibility inscription is. She says it need only be fixed to the target to take hold, but that being only black iron it can hide units under 10 cubic meters in absolute volume, and that the moment they attack or are struck they turn visible again. The inscriptions can be stacked, she adds, attaching more to widen the hidden volume, but she has not yet mastered the linking method for stacking them, and she says it a little apologetically, only 10 cubic meters. Not large. It cannot cover big ants or buildings, only medium to small ones, though the size of a platinum-grade black scythe hunter ant happens to be just right, so I can raise a batch of invisible vanguards with it. I ask about production, how many she can turn out before tonight. She says the speed is quick, 1 every 10 minutes so long as the success rate holds, and that she can hit a full 100%, but that the leftover magic metal is thin, only enough for about 20 more. That is enough. I nod, pleased. Platinum rank sentry ants carry optical camouflage and hide superbly, but a sentry ant's calling is reconnaissance, and in raw combat power it lags well behind a black scythe hunter ant, so even creeping up invisible it cannot swiftly put down a strong enemy. A black scythe hunter ant is another beast. Let a platinum grade 1 close in unseen, and its pair of supple scythe-shaped mandibles becomes the Reaper's own blade, harvesting a life in an instant. I thank Moel and ask her to craft 20 invisibility inscriptions first, since they may work miracles in the coming fight, and she agrees over and over that she will finish them as fast as she can. At that same hour, in the heart of a black island racing toward a stationary one, a pyramid sprawls across thousands of square meters. Not far from it, thousands of mummies wrapped in coarse yellowish-white bandages haul polished stone blocks on primitive log rollers. They strain without pause to stack them onto a base that already covers more than 10,000 square meters, as if they mean to raise a pyramid grander than the one beside it. These mummies are not fully bound like ordinary ones, their eyes and noses still bare, and anyone who looked into those eyes would find them full of despair yet still lit with human life. These mummies are living people. Their state can only be called the Walking Dead. Inside the Great Pyramid, a man in a golden yellow robe sits cross-legged on a lavish throne, a golden black striped headdress crowning him like a pharaoh, his eyes gloomy. 4 sparsely dressed maidservants attending him. The manual against his chest suddenly rattles out an urgent string of beeps. He frowns, eats a peeled grape a servant lifts to his lips, then reclines on his side, picks up the manual, reads the message, and tosses it aside with a scoff. Ant-like humans, he sneers, daring to call themselves brothers with the king, the son of the sun god. Their only destiny, he says, is to become his mummies and raise an even more magnificent temple for him. Just wait a little longer, he tells the empty air, and in less than a day the sun god's radiance will light 2 new lands and fold new subjects into its glow. At the same time, on another black island also speeding toward its target, inside a leather tent of hundreds of square meters, a burly bearded man dressed in animal skins eats meat and drinks wine with gusto. He spits a mouthful of bloody foam from the raw flesh in his teeth, spattering the maidservant beside him, and she dares not make a sound, only lifting the wine pot to refill his cup. He raises it and bellows to the 2 rows of savagely dressed subordinates below the tent that when they land on the island later, they are to seize that mummy across the way and take him down hard. As long as the man is captured, he roars they can have all the wine, meat, and women they want, and his subordinates howl their approval, baying to tear the enemy apart, praising the king's wisdom. Watching their frenzied excitement, the bearded man bares his teeth and roars with laughter. These 2 black island owners are the 2 chiefs ready to strike Cheongha's Black Island. Things, though, may run a little differently from what Jong Hyun and his companions imagined, because these 2 do not seem to be jointly besieging her territory at all. They look instead as if they mean to fight each other, using her land as their battlefield. Once the eternal night ends, daylight returns to every black island, though the body hanging high overhead is not the sun that lit Blue Star but a star with much the same function. I step out of the shelter, bathe in sunlight I have not felt in an age, and warmth spreads through me at once. With the eternal night over, winter will slowly pass. Swift Shadow's message cuts into that brief ease, telling me her tribesfolk have found the treasure marked by the treasure map's beacon and carried it back to the warehouse. My gaze sharpens and I turn straight for the warehouse district. A day ago I sent a sentry ant squad to hunt down the treasure spot on the map. By rights, with the beacon showing the exact location and the sentry ant's keen reconnaissance, they should have found it fast. Yet there had been no word and I could not guess what had gone wrong. At least it is found now. I reach the warehouse district and see several scarred sentry ants lugging a heap of scrap metal that barely holds the shape of a box. I tell them to go get treatment from the light healing ants first and just leave the thing here, and once they set it down and go I examine the pile carefully. Was this the treasure the sentry ants searched so long for? A junk collector aside, nobody would stoop to pick this up off the roadside. Doubtful but trusting the sentry ants, I step in, pry off the rusted clasp, and lift the lid, and a silver treasure light flashes out. Inside sits a small palm-sized ceramic jar. I pick it up, puzzled, and a golden light glints in my right eye. Its information reads that this is a spirit nurturing jar, black iron rank and growable, that placing creatures inside nurtures their spirituality, that devouring creature souls raises its rank, and that the higher the rank the more it can hold, currently 10. An item that holds living creatures, and a growable one at that. I stare at the homely jar with real surprise, never having dreamed the treasure map I held no hope for would hand me a shock like this. The jar gives no space prompt, only a cap on numbers, which must mean that as long as the count stays under the limit, a creature of any size can go in, since ordinary spatial items impose hard volume limits, and here there is only a head count. It does not sound very scientific, or rather, not very fantastical. I hold the jar up toward a tunneling ant team digging downward in the warehouse and try to collect them. A white light flashes, a gap opens in the working squad, and exactly 10 tunneling ants vanish, and when my consciousness probes inside the jar, I find 10 miniature tunneling ants milling about in a daze, baffled as to how they got there. I smile, hold the jar out, and silently will them released, and another white flash later, the 10 tunneling ants reappear on their old spot, ringed by curious companions. I tell them to carry on with their work and walk toward the nest with the jar, thinking that tunneling ants are already medium to large and it still holds 10, while sentry ants run much smaller, so perhaps it can hold more of those. At the nest I try again with the sentry ants, only to find that small as they are, the jar still takes just 10, not one more. So it truly caps by number regardless of size. That gives it an edge with large ants, and wastes it a little on small ones like sentry ants. But I need to raise its rank fast, because who knows, at a higher rank its capacity might balloon absurdly, and then I would stop fretting over size and simply pack them all in, big and small alike. With this jar I could carry a squad of personal bodyguards and sharply lift both my combat power and my odds of survival. Then I look at the jar with some difficulty, since raising its rank means devouring creature souls, which is brutal work. Where do I even find that many souls? I can hardly go killing people to level up a jar. I frown, turn it over a while, and then my eyes light up, because creature souls need not be human, and the various mutated creatures carry consciousness and intelligence, so they should have souls too. I keep so many rabbits, turkeys, and yaks in my second underground farm, a fair number slaughtered every day, which is perfect for raising the jar. Excitement lifts my face and I take the jar straight to the farm. My farm is no longer what it once was, because 09 has hardly idled during her days with me, already setting up several fully automated slaughtering lines there, built on simple mechanical pulley structures that cost her no effort at all. The workshop is running now, its hands flexibly adjusting the daily kill by each livestock's breeding pace. The workers call out greetings, hailing me as Lord Leader, and I nod with a smile and tell them not to mind me and to carry on. I take the jar to the first stage of the line, an electric stunning machine that drives high-voltage current through the livestock's brain, killing in under a second, a painless and humane death. Currently dispatching black iron rank mutated snow pigs, I stand by with the jar and watch in silence, and soon I catch a faint, almost imperceptible ripple of energy. That will be the jar absorbing souls. At this rate, it will likely take 1,000 black iron rank souls to upgrade, which means killing 1,000 black iron creatures, no small number for a black iron jar. Difficult to cultivate then, though that stands to reason, since the jar's workings are more complex even than spatial technology. No matter, my farm kills plenty of livestock daily, so I will simply raise it slowly. I also test the jar's absorption range and find it currently 10 meters. So I summon Tak Mung Yal and have him move the first stage positions of several lines closer together, then set the jar in the middle so it can drink the souls of every slaughtered animal from all of them at once. I assign a small sentry ant squad to guard it and leave. I will nurse it along for now, since holding only 10 ants makes its use limited. Time flows quietly on, and in a blink it is noon, so seeing the hour is about right. I head over to Cheongha's Black Island. I appear inside her shelter, a 3-story building within a level 5 shelter, and look around with curiosity at the floors filled with flowers and plants, so natural and fresh. I remark that it is not bad, that it is a pity my own shelter was destroyed, since otherwise I too could have a 3-story building like this. Cheongha rolls her eyes and accuses me of teasing her on purpose, pointing out that I have a wizard tower far finer than her building, and that next to my magnificent underground city hers is like a bamboo hut in a backwater village. Then she asks why I have come 10 hours early when the 2 chiefs will not arrive till tonight. I tell her I came early to see how the arrangements are shaping up, and add that she should hold platinum rank combat power by now. She gives a mysterious smile and heads for the door, saying she will take me to see Little Green. I follow her out of the room, only to find it pitch black outside like the dead of night, with just the soft glow of scattered lamp fruits lighting the way. That surprises me, since it is noon, around 12, when sunlight should pour down hardest. Does her side run on a different time from mine? That cannot be, since the sky and the length of day and night across the dark world should be perfectly uniform. I look up, doubtful, and the next instant my gaze sharpens in shock, because everything overhead is green, a sky-swallowing, sun-blotting green. There is no light outside for the simple reason that this dense green is walled off the sun entirely. Seeing my stunned face, Cheongha smiles in triumph and says that since I teased her shelter, now I know its power, then calls up to the green curtain for Little Green to stop hogging all the good sunlight and leave a little behind. A rustling answers, and the green ocean overhead begins to surge and flow aside, bearing the sunlight it had hidden, and in an instant the world turns from night to day. In the light, I finally see the full shape of the green curtain above me. It is the thick leaves of the world tree, each one the size of a wash basin, dense and beyond counting. More staggering still is the main trunk, so vast that standing 10 meters off I cannot judge its true width. A sheer wall of wood. Even the branches run as thick as water buckets, so that being struck by one would leave a person not bruised but scattered in pieces. Shaken, I look at Cheongha with a rueful smile and ask whether her world tree is not a bit much, whether she really calls this platinum rank, since with combat power like that I feel scarcely needed. Cheongha shakes her head gently and says of course not. After Little Green upgraded to platinum her strength rose a good deal, she explains, especially her defenses, which are extraordinarily tough. And within 10 kilometers of Little Green she holds absolute confidence. The old problem stands though. Little Green cannot move, being a tree after all, so beyond a 15-kilometer radius she has almost no influence. It is a fair enough account, and I nod, then look at the world tree again with fresh awe, thinking that if such a giant could go bounding about, how would anyone else even play the game? I ask whether there is truly no other way, whether it must always stay rooted, since the world tree is an ancient race of such high standing that it surely must have some means. Cheongha nods that there are indeed some. Little Green drew a great deal of information from her racial inheritance during the upgrade, she says, and once she reaches diamond rank she can cultivate a companion race called elves, very powerful, able to act as Little Green's representatives. I nod that it makes sense, then note that diamond rank will likely take a good while yet, since the tree has only just touched platinum. Cheongha agrees, helpless, that it is still very early and they will take it slow. She adds that she went to look the arrangements over this morning and felt everything was well prepared, especially by that beautiful subordinate I sent, the one who calls herself my maid, who gave Shok Hongjun and the others plenty of constructive guidance. On the word maid she throws me a strange look that leaves me distinctly uncomfortable, and I frown, a little helpless, thinking that maid sounds far too odd and that I clearly need to tell Mei Muchang to watch her words and conduct. I explain that she is only an ordinary subordinate, not a maid, and that there is nothing between us. Whether or not Xiongha believes me, I give a casual 3-part explanation and leave it there. I unfurl my light wings and fly toward Mei Muchang, whose location I can sense clearly through our mutual aid contract. And behind me, Xiongha smiles as a pair of emerald green wings springs from her back and follows close. Unlike my false light wings made of light healing ants, hers flap back and forth as if she truly bore wings, and seeing my curious look she explains, smiling, that they are elf wings, a skill Little Green granted her at platinum rank. The two of us, one gold and one green, fly side by side over patches of jungle and quickly reach Mei Muchang's spot, and before we even land, we hear her exasperated voice. She is fuming that the performance has to be realistic and natural, demanding to know how many times she has stressed it, warning them not to pile on extra drama and just to show the natural reaction of facing a strong opponent and yielding to them. Someone stammers back that he understands. Xiongha and I trade a glance and fly straight toward the voice. As we land, we find Mei Muchang fiercely dressing down a burly man, and the contrast is stark, since she is petite and delicate while his arm is as thick as her thigh. Yet at this moment he stands like a scolded schoolchild, head bowed, utterly convinced. He vows that he understands, Teacher Mei, and will work hard, and she sighs that he is the worst batch she has ever taught and sends him off to the side to learn from Dayu. I greet her with a smile and praise her for working so diligently, and at the sound of my voice her whole body trembles. She spins around and leans in toward me, complaining softly that Master has finally come and that these blockheads are impossible to manage. Rather than have Musheng teach them to act, she moans, it would be kinder just to kill Musheng, and if not for Master's mission she could never have held on. I press down on her head as it shoves eagerly against me, and under my strength, for all her straining, she cannot get an inch closer, and has to give up, grumbling that Master is so heartless. I shake my head, smiling, and tell her to hold on a little longer, that the enemy will land around 10 tonight, and to take me to see the results of her special training. She brightens at 10 o'clock, breathes out in relief, and leads Xiongha and me off to inspect the work. The week of preparation proves quite reasonable, nearly restoring the area's original look from before I came to conquer it. I have Sok Homjun and the others act out their reactions to enemies and find their skills smooth and natural. On meeting foes, they first play arrogant and overbearing, then flash into shock and disbelief the moment they gauge the enemy's strength, and finally abandon their subordinates and flee, drawing the enemy deeper into Black Island. There are minor flaws, but harmless ones, and unless the enemy is extraordinarily cunning, they will not spot the cracks in the little time they have. I tell everyone it is very good and to keep it up, that after this battle they will each be a meritorious official and rewards will not be lacking. And hearing the promise, they cheer, brimming with enthusiasm. After the inspection, Xiongha and I return to the shelter to await the enemy walking into the trap. I settle into a rattan chair, sipping the world tree tea leaves she brewed, and chuckle that my ants are still stockpiling troops, so I will have them come over an hour early. I add that I have arranged for some people to train here as well, and ask whether that is all right. Xiongha shakes her head with a smile and says what could be wrong with it, that she welcomes them. We drink together a while longer, and then Will, Baekhyun, and 09 arrive one after another. Though hours remain before the appointed time, this is everyone's first taste of an assault between Black Islands, and a joint strike by two chiefs at that. Without saying it aloud, they still worry a little for Xiongha, afraid of some unforeseen turn, which is why they have come early to lend a hand. The moment Baekhyun arrives and sees us drinking tea, his eyes light up. He complains that he has visited several times and never once seen Xiongha brew tea for him. Yet the instant her big brother figure shows up, she brings out her best, far too biased. Then he plops down, pours himself a cup, and gulps it. Xiongha smiles that Little Green only just got promoted and cannot pick tea leaves yet, so these are all old stock, then asks whether he and Will both hold platinum rank combat power now. Baekhyun puffs up and says of course, that he feels incredibly strong that if he met that demonized Minotaur again, he could beat it with both hands tied behind his back. Will nods, confident, and says he only just broke through and feels his combat power has climbed a great deal. I look the two of them over. Baekhyun seems little changed, save for a faint air of preciousness about him that gives the impression of a plump sheep ripe for slaughter, without the hard edge of a genuine expert. But I know his ability turns on the quantity and quality of his treasures, so the more he looks like a fat sheep, the stronger he truly is, and anyone who took him for easy prey would die a wretched death. Will is another matter, since most of his power springs from within himself. Right now his muscles bulge, his veins throb, a bloody aura pours off him, and his eyes have gone bloodshot and dangerous, so that a stranger might think him high on something, and just looking at him is intimidating. I frown slightly because his state does not seem quite right, and I ask whether he feels all right. He grins and tells me not to worry, that he has never felt this good, that the state is only the lingering after effect of his breakthrough. He can either digest it slowly through training or burn it off fast through combat, he says, and he asks me to let him lead the charge when the fight starts. Reassured, I nod and tell him it is no problem, that I will cover him then. I note aloud that although everyone holds platinum power now, they likely know little about their own strength, and suggest that before the battle we spar a bit to get a simple feel for it, so nobody panics when the enemy comes. The idea wins immediate approval. Xiongha nods that it is indeed time to test, but cautions that we control the intensity so we do not wear our own people out before the enemy even arrives, and asks how exactly to run it. 2-on-2 or otherwise. As the one who raised the idea, I already have a plan, and I say, smiling, that they should fight my Black Scythe Hunter ants. The ants have tough hides, I point out so I can heal them quickly if they are hurt, and I now have 2 platinum grade ones, which also makes for a convenient yardstick of everyone's strength. The others are stunned, wondering whether I mean to use Black Scythe Hunter ants as a unit for measuring combat power, but the suggestion is reasonable enough that they nod along. Xiongha's power comes mostly from the World Tree and is awkward to test. I point out, and 09 Sky Pillar has surely already been proven in real combat, so we will test the 2 of them. Baekhyun urges me on eagerly, saying he really wants to see how strong he is now, and Will clenches his fists in anticipation. I fetch 2 platinum-grade Black Scythe Hunter ants from the shelter, bring everyone out to the open ground beyond it, and ask, smiling, who wants to go first. Baekhyun volunteers at once, rubbing his hands together, stepping forward, and eyeing the Black Scythe Hunter ant before him with confidence. The platinum-grade ants look imposing, and with 20 of them massed the pressure is immense, but Baekhyun has his own pride. He long ago killed a gold-rank mutated beast by his own strength, at a time when he trailed only 1 step behind me, and his rate of improvement has stayed swift ever since. His ability won with fierce growth potential that leapt in quality on reaching platinum. Though he still calls me his elder brother, a subtle arrogance has swelled in him. He shouts for me to let him see the strength of my ants, and his clothes flutter without wind as his whole body lifts into the air, a massive golden treasury phantom rising behind him, countless items of every color scattered carelessly across it. Not bad, quite interesting. I nod, stroking my chin, and say we will try 10 Black Scythe Hunter ants first, and the next second 10 of them close in around him together and clash. 10 minutes later the test ends. Baekhyun lies flat on the ground like a dead dog, heedless of the dirt, panting hard, staring at the sky with existential doubt. He lost? Just like that. He held back, and the big Black Scythe Hunter ants did not go all out either. And worse, he did not even lose to 20 of them, only to 6. I nod that it is not bad, lasting this long under the siege of 6 platinum-grade Black Scythe Hunter ants. Will, standing by, has lost his easy air entirely, gazing gravely at the ants, which stand unmoving like elite warriors in black heavy armor. Though it was Baekhyun under test, he quietly measured himself against it, and the result sits heavy in him, since in Baekhyun's place he is not sure he would have fared better. I ask whether he is ready, and Will draws a deep breath, face solemn, and says to arrange 5 platinum-grade ants for him to start. 5 step out from the group, extending their upper mandibles like giant scythes to ring him, and Will's expression hardens as his veins bulge everywhere and he lets out a roar and charges. Another 10 minutes on, Will and Baekhyun lie side by side, both staring at the sky with complicated faces, contemplating life. 5. Will's judgment was not wrong, since handling 5 platinum-grade Black Scythe Hunter ants at once is already his ceiling, and with even 1 more he would not last a minute, let alone 10. Xiongha, watching from the side, is full of admiration now, thinking that though both men are platinum rank, I, who can mass-produce platinum ants, stand far above the rest of them. Fortunate that they are teammates, since the thought of being my enemy makes her heart clench. A few minutes later everyone sits back inside. The test's intensity was limited by nature, and since Will and Baekhyun knew I would not harm them, they held nothing back, ending merely a little drained and having eaten many restorative fruits Xiongha provided. They have mostly recovered. Baekhyun slumps weakly across the table and says feebly that he thought he was so strong, only to find he has no more than 6 ant strength, and that his whole confidence is shattered. If Baekhyun has 6 ant strength, then does that not make Will 5 ant strength? Beside him, Will flushes at the thought, stays silent, and only keeps drinking his tea. I shake my head with a smile and tell them it was just a simple test, that I know full well Baekhyun was merely tanking my ants outright, never once reaching for those powerful items of his with their strange effects. Had he used them, I add, even a win of mine would have left me few good options against him. He chuckles that he only wanted to see how tough he was,